Hello there, Ray here. We got a brand new snapshot. This is for 1.14.3 pre-release 1. So essentially what is going on is they didn't get all the bugs that they wanted to fix in version 1.14.2. So they can go ahead and they're going to work on a 1.14.3 to try to fix a lot of those bugs that we noticed with villagers and other lag problems. So this snapshot actually contains a lot of very useful bug fixes that should make it a lot nicer for servers to run on 1.14. And be sure if you still notice some more bugs in the game to go ahead and report them on their website as well as talk about them down in the comments. I also reached my 10-year anniversary of playing Minecraft, and I did a whole video dedicated to that showing 1,000 screenshots I took over the last 10 years. So if you guys haven't seen that video yet, that video is a must-see. We will be doing more testing with this snapshot on Wednesday when we do our Twitch stream on our testing server with the viewers. Let's get into all the new changes with this version. They fix a bug where villagers would be able to pick up crops and eventually fill up their inventory, and then they could get into a situation where the villager is unable to clear its inventory. So something like a non-farmer would be able to fill up with seeds, and he'd never get rid of those seeds because he'd never plant them, and he'd never throw them to other villagers. And a bunch of other bugs to do with villagers' inventories being held up with different items. And this has been in the game for quite a while. This means the farmers and other villagers should be able to throw food and items between each other more easily. And they should also get enough food so that they can breed. And they also have it so that the farmers can always give away food even if the other villagers don't need it. There was a problem with raids that just came up recently where the raiders, when you kill them, if you kill the ones that had the banners on, they give you some more bad omen, which would be accepted by the village and it would start a new raid. And this would cause infinite raids to occur. So they just keep going on in circles because every time you try to finish the raid by killing all the guys, you would end up having to kill a guy that had a banner on his head, which would cause it to start back up again. And they went ahead and fixed this. What I think they should do is they should have it so that you can make the raids last longer, but there still should be a way for players to be able to make the raids end without having to worry about trying not to kill this guy. Because if you kill one of these guys manually, then that's going to give you the bad omen, and then that's going to count towards adding a new whole raid into it. So you'd have to kill them by natural means. But they should actually have a mechanic that allows the players to increase the raids so that they last longer, or even infinite amount of time if they really want to. So now you see we're actually able to end the raid without getting a whole bunch of new raid bars. And also got the hero of the village. They also changed it so that the farmers, when they come to their farming patch, they'll be working here more rather than always like moving to their workstation and then just going to their bed. They'll actually be working in the crops. Now they also made so villagers are more likely to spawn in iron golems when they're panicking. So when there is a zombie after a villager, the villager kind of panics, but they really panic when there is a raid. You'll see all the villagers will start panicking. They'll be running around and they'll be sweating, thinking about the raid, and they'll try to run back to their houses. So with a raid occurring like this, you can actually get the villagers to spawn in more iron golems. And this will probably be useful for making iron golem farms more efficient, because you can increase the chance of iron golems spawning. But they are constantly changing the way iron golems are spawning, so this might not last very long. Some of the guys in the raid actually seem kind of broken. So these guys are spawned right here, but they're not really running towards a village like the other guys. Hostile mobs were able to spawn on top of trapdoors, glowstone, as well as sea lanterns, and they went ahead and changed this. And this most likely came about because these type of blocks got changed, so you can place like stuff on top of them. So stuff like repeaters can be placed on top of these. The trapdoor can actually open up and then you can have a repeater float like that. But this will also allow you to be able to use trapdoors to prevent mobs from spawning on top of stuff once again. They fixed a bug where the villagers would switch between no profession and having a profession very quickly. So hopefully this fixes the problem that we've seen during our testing. And then when I turned to daytime, he just lost his farmer profession. So I'm guessing he's not going to really go back to doing a farming game until he gets closer. There was a problem with villagers being able to breed even if there's not enough beds for them to do so. And during our Wednesday snapshot testing, we kind of came across this. But hopefully they also fix some other inconsistencies to do with villagers and breeding and beds, as we've seen quite a few of those during our testing. You can see there's another little problem here with the farmer hopping on top of and off of his composter. He breaks his crop ground around it. Maybe farmer villagers should be immune to breaking crops. With all the changes they made to 1.14 and mobs, they were doing a bunch of extra checks when they were being spawned in, and all these extra checks were causing a bunch of CPU usage, so essentially it was creating a lot of lag. So they went ahead and tried to fix this. Now there was a problem where if you put like a zombie really close to a villager, the villager would actually, instead of running away from the zombie, you would actually run right into the zombie. We came across this quite often during our streams, and it was really difficult to actually make the villager run away from the zombie, but they said they had fixed this. There was some massive lag occurring just when you had a piston activating like this. Pretty much this would bring everybody's frames all the way down, and it was unbearable to play with just a simple piston pulsing. So I'm really glad that they fixed this. Now we shouldn't see this anymore in the game. Now we also came across a similar bug where we were placing down blocks. Essentially every time you place one block, it would just drop everybody's frames in area about down to half, which was super annoying. Yeah, it's really strange.
I need to see if I'm not looking at you. Nope. 47, 30, yeah, it does it. It's being in the area. It doesn't matter if I'm looking at you.
Somebody get a clip of this. I want to send this to Mojang.
Okay.
This is just placing blocks. So that bug might also be fixed since this one has been fixed. They fixed a problem to do with double stacked blocks not being able to be loaded in structures. There is this game rule here, which is spectator generate chunks. Essentially, if this is true, then spectator accounts can generate new chunks, but if it is false, then if you're in spectator mode, you're not going to be able to generate new chunks. But there were some bugs with this that was causing servers to slow down a whole bunch. But there's actually some problems with this game mode because currently spectator accounts can still do a lot of things that they shouldn't be able to do. Like they can load entities, meaning that entities can also despawn if a spectator account goes over top of them, while there's someone else also in the same dimension. And there's a bunch of other things like that, such as like mobs and stuff will grow up since a spectator account is still there. Ideally, a spectator account should just be able to view what's going around without actually affecting anything. But that's pretty tough because essentially spectator accounts will load chunks. And if the spectator account wasn't loading chunks, then everything would be completely black. But I still feel like they should do something to try to fix this. There seems to be some problems with the spectator account. As you can see here, the entities aren't showing up and they just went completely invisible. And these entities stop moving around. If you go back over here and if I go back into creative, you see all of a sudden they show up again and then they go invisible. So it looks like there's still some bugs with this. Spectator account should be able to see the mobs, but you shouldn't be able to affect them. They changed wandering traders. So before, when you lock them up like this and you'd hover over this arrow here with the X, it would say the same thing as like the villagers when they lock up, making you think that you're able to actually unlock the wandering traders. So they removed that so there's less confusion, because once you lock these guys up, they never unlock. They changed the cat model a little bit, so the cat legs here aren't sticking out the top anymore. On servers where iron golems were spawning too often in some old villages that people upgraded from 1.13, and they have fixed that problem. There was a crash occurring when people would upgrade their 1.13 worlds to 1.14. This villager here just kind of walked away from where his farm station is over there. There was a bug to do with the chunk rendering being slow and random, and now you can see it looks a lot better. It's smoothly rendered all the way out to the very end. In 1.14.1, they changed the way that mobs would be handled kind of on the edges of the game. And essentially, they weren't really counting those mobs towards the mob cap. And this was causing problems because essentially they were being loaded. So they went ahead and fixed this bug. And that bug was reported by Theosub, one of the Protect members. So it's really good that this is fixed so that when we upgrade on the Protect server, we don't have to worry about it. So this will allow like peaceful mob switches to work again. They once again fixed a bug to do with villagers when losing their point of interest. It would cause the game to crash. And point of interest are just things that they're concentrating on, like their workstation. Servers were having trouble with excessive mob spawning. Essentially, they just kept on spawning until the server crashed. There was a problem that farmers would not create any bread unless they actually were given 3 wheat all at once. So you should be able to make some bread farms again. There was a problem where villagers weren't running away from zombie villagers. You can see that guy just ran away. They fixed a bug to do with pillager leaders, and something would spawn without banners on their head, and because of that it was actually causing inconsistencies. And this is something we noticed a lot during our testing to do with making raid farms, since we were trying to have a raid farm go into an infinite loop by recycling the banners. There was a problem where baby trading llamas were immediately disappearing as soon as they were spawned in. That has been fixed. There was a problem to do with recipe files and data packs, which was kind of interrupting the rest of the data pack if you would delete one part of it. This was actually reported by Random Games, which is the guy who helps us with the 1.14 testing servers during our streams. Those are all the major changes for 1.14.3 pre-release 1 snapshot. I'm really glad to see them fix these major bugs that came out with 1.14, because a lot of servers have been wanting to upgrade, and it seems like everyone that have upgraded has kind of regretted upgrading because of all the problems that they occurred. So if you are running a server, be sure to update to this pre-release, as it is considerably better than the previous versions. And if you guys did find this video interesting, be sure to go ahead and show with a like as well as share with someone else. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. And if you notice anything interesting in these snapshots, tell me in the comments. And I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.